Now let's turn it over to Martin, a principal solutions engineer at Acquia, and a maintainer of a number of Drupal modules and recipes of his own, to talk about our module of the week. Martin, what do you have for us this week?
Thanks, John. Have you ever wanted to have your Drupal site's media assets presented in a UI that evokes the hierarchy of a file system? There's a module for that. It's called Media Folders, and it was created in April of 2025 by Yao Mauricio, or Jay Mauricio, as people may know him on Drupal.org. It has a 1.0.3 version available, which supports Drupal 10.3 and 11. It is actively maintained, has security and test coverage, and has 9 open issues, 2 of which are bugs, although one was just fixed, which is pretty good considering it is officially in use by 61 sites according to Drupal.org. The module mimics a file structure by associating media entities with a taxonomy hierarchy. It then provides an intuitive drag and drop UI to move items between locations, drag in new items, or even search within a particular folder, including a recursive search. When you drag in files, it uses smart logic to automatically assign files to media bundles, and it provides a form display widget, a view display widget, a CKEditor plugin, and it's compatible with other file system modules like S3 file system. Now, this kind of interface is a requirement I've seen in RFPs by companies looking for a new CMS. So having this available as a drop-in solution feels like a win for the Drupal community. Let's talk about media folders.
I mean, this one feels like pretty great to me. It harkens me back to like old school Drupal where you had, was it IMCE?
Yeah.
And you had folder structures in there to be able to like put things in folders in kind of that standard way. I imagine this is super useful, especially if you have something like a dam powering your media library and you kind of need assets to be kind of grouped together in such a way where, like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but like media library just kind of puts your assets on a like a in a table, right? It doesn't really group them. Of course, it's a view. You can add filters to it if you want to filter things down, but like there's no real way to kind of like group them together. So this feels like a pretty good solution to that, or at least a nice X add-on to make finding assets a little bit easier for your users. Yeah, I think this is a great idea.
Well, I think it's important to point out that this doesn't actually change the physical digital structure of the folders, so it's not gonna place them in a different location. It's just an organizational, and it's a taxonomy. Now my question is, can you have subcategories? Because the example image just shows kind of the core audio document, image, remote video, and video bundles. I imagine this really is only useful if you have subfolders within those. And as long as it provides that, I think it's still valuable because it is organizational. But yeah, do you know?
Yeah, it's a great question. As you say, when I looked at it, I assumed that it would allow for a deeper hierarchy, but strictly speaking, I'm not 100% sure. I do feel like, f- up until now, when people have asked about being able to organize uploaded media assets in a hierarchy, I've tended to go with the explanation that they can just associate it with a taxonomy hierarchy, which I think definitely sort of scratches the itch in a certain way, but from a UI standpoint, probably falls well short of the experience people are looking for. So something like this that layers on a UI, as you say, hopefully still maintaining the ability to have that deeper hierarchy. I mean, it talks about a recursive search, which makes me think that it must support deeper
Yeah.
hierarchies, but I do feel like is definitely gonna give people more of the experience that they're looking for when they ask for that kind of a question.
Yeah, and it does expressly state that it's a for a taxonomy vocabulary, not changing the physical file location of the files. So I guess that is a good point to make there, just to make sure people understand that it's not organizing your files folder, which we all know files folders, they can be a little unruly sometimes. All right. Well, I feel like this one's pretty straightforward. Not a lot to chat about here, but I feel like like I said, very useful and one of those great kind of UI sort of tools that you can add on to Drupal to make things a little bit easier. So, Martin, thank you for bringing us this wonderful module of the week. And if folks wanted to reach out to you, suggest a module, how could they go about doing that?
We tend to have some really good discussions about candidates for module of the week in the Talking Drupal channel of Drupal Slack, or folks can reach out to me directly as Man Clue on all of the Drupal and social platforms.